I call this meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. I will now read the Township Land Acknowledgement. The Township of Adjala-Tosorontio is situated on the lands within the Treaty 18, being the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people, including the Ojibwe, Odaatwa, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. This land is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We acknowledge this Indigenous people as stewards of the land, and we honor their resilience as well as their culture and all of our shared respect for the lands, plants, animals, and waterways which sustain us all. We recognize the injustices against Indigenous peoples and are mindful that the decisions of government impact our shared land and all the inhabitants. We commit to reconciliation as a journey, foster Indigenous cultural awareness and educational opportunities, establish respectful and healthy relations within the Indigenous peoples, continue to steward the land and its inhabitants, and to cultivate an inclusive community for all. Are there any additions to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to item number 3. The next item of business is item 3.1, adoption of the agenda. The recommendation reads that the agenda for the Community Development and Event Committee held on Monday, August 18th, 2025 be adopted as presented. Can I get a mover? Seer, can I get a seconder? Shen, any questions? All those in favor? Carried. The next item is disclosure of pecuniary interests. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interests? Seeing none, we'll move to item number 5. The recommendation reads that the minutes for the Community Development and Event Committee held on Monday, July 21st, 2025 be adopted as presented. Can I get a mover, please? Seer, can I get a seconder, please? Shen, any questions? All those in favor? Carried. We'll move on to number 6, which is a regular business item, the 2025 Canada Day event survey. I know this was something we kind of discussed briefly at our last meeting. Before we discuss it anymore, Deputy Clerk will provide us with an update regarding the survey.
So township staff can put out a survey on the municipal website and corporate social media, and report survey results and would be provided at the next committee meeting. The committee would need to provide the contents of the survey or any changes to the previous survey. I attached a supplemental to this agenda for reference, and your voice Adjtos was leveraged last time as a platform for last year's survey. Staff are hoping to boost engagement by leveraging social media and the township website this year. So the committee may provide suggestions for the content. Can do this offline by email, should you wish, or right now I can note any feedback and provide that to the communications coordinator.
I know at the last meeting, we kind of talked about this briefly. I kind of took a look at the survey that we did the last time as a committee. I think a lot of the questions are good that are there that gives that information. I just added some of the things that we currently have had over the past couple of years. Under the activities, there was the question about the parking. How did you hear about it? Then a section, what would you like to see in 2026? So there was some items that we already had there, and then I added some additional ones based on our discussions that we had at our last meeting and at our Canada Day one. The next question on the survey was about the timing, the 7 to 10. Does that work for families? I thought the volunteer part could be taken out just because we're not looking for volunteers at this point. This was something we did before the event. The last question was, please provide additional comments or suggestions for the 2026 Canada Day event. So that would allow people to type in. I know we also had comments. I'm just wondering if we can loop this in as well as maybe getting feedback, like would people be interested in attending other community events? And like yes or no, and give examples like outdoor movie night, music in the park, things that we discussed, and then give them an opportunity to type in things that they might be interested in. If we could somehow loop that all into one survey, because then that could help us as a committee as we move forward to plan, have all that information. Is there anything else you would want to add to that survey?
I think you pretty much covered everything.
So I can give you a copy of that, and then hopefully I know it says Canada Day survey, but if it could somehow kind of be like, and events, other events, something, just so we can get that other feedback, because I think that will help us move forward in the fall as we plan for 2026.
Certainly, so we can provide you with the draft once the content is all received, and once it's good to go, we will circulate that and return with the feedback at our next meeting.
I think that sounds good. We'll move to our next regular business item, which is the fall event discussion. Deputy Clerk's going to provide us an update regarding that before we discuss.
So should the committee wish to organize a fall event, the recommendation would need to go to council for consideration at the regular council meeting to be held on September 10th, 2025. This is a bit of a tight timeline, as the reports would need to be in by this Friday for approval. The committee would also have the option of putting forward a recommendation to council for a fall event in 2026 of next year. And should the committee wish to hold an event next year, they could allocate the budget in the new year with the Canada Day budget. Clerk Reid had advised that the amount accrued from the Community Development and Events GL budget for the band can be taken out of the Canada Day budget and the remaining funds within that account. And this will leave a balance of $5,000 back in the events GL for the fall event.
I know Councillor Cox had got quotes from 2 different places. My only concern is the really tight timeline that's associated with this, and basically to advertise and ensure that, you know, everything is in place, as it's going to come up quite quickly. I know we kind of briefly discussed that there is that option that we could do something like this next year, maybe do it in the summer, like in August, we were kind of saying, instead of September, kind of mid-August, if we wanted, to align with timing. It's totally up to the committee. Was anyone else like to share any feedback of their thoughts?
Madam Chair, I would definitely agree with you. I believe it's be too quick, too rushed. And I think to have having it done for next year, I think we'll be, you know, better prepared, you know, better advertised as well. It's just more, we'll feel, I think, more at ease organizing it as well.
And I know we just mentioned kind of, Sierra and I just had a brief conversation about things that I think these things could happen simultaneously as we're planning Canada Day, planning for the movie night. That could be kind of all happening. And I did like the idea that the mayor had brought up about the music in the park, which could be something nice to have going on as well. And I think if we kind of plan forward here in the fall, using even the data from our survey, these things can be happening simultaneously, as one of us can kind of be focusing more on that music in the park, Canada Day, one with the movie night. So I think if the committee's in agreement that that might be the better idea for us, and probably will, maybe, I know I would myself feel more comfortable with time to plan and make sure things are advertised and that we're not just rushing ahead. Any other thoughts? Yeah, Shen?
Yeah, I agree with everybody as well. I think that there's just not enough time to get the maximum out of this. And if we're going to be investing money into this event, you know, going through with the rental, it'd be really nice if, you know, the whole community knew about it and we didn't have to kind of rush things together. And especially if we're trying this as a new thing, like we haven't done this before, getting this as a data point, it would be it would be a little bit difficult. You know, we wouldn't know the real numbers because we don't give it enough time to breathe. So I think definitely we should keep this idea for 2026. As you mentioned, probably mid-August or early September. Likely mid-August would make most sense because we do still have a lot more flexibility in terms of people's schedules. And yeah, it could be really fun. We could do kind of, something that's leading up to more fall themes, kind of like fall movies or things that really get us into that kind of season of Halloween as well. Anything related to that can be fun. And yeah, at that time we can continue to look into those rentals, popcorn, whatever else, and really execute it. And the only other thing that I wanted to mention was regarding another event, like would there be a possibility of putting on an event, let's say for around Christmas time? Is that a possibility?
So I just wanted to advise that around Christmas time, we also have a lot of staff holidays. That's probably my only hesitation with that in terms of staff availability, but it's something that I think the committee can put on. I would just have to confirm.
Is there any events currently like within the township that line up around the holidays that are already planned?
I would have to look into that. Currently, there's none that I'm aware of, but I would definitely report back with some information if there are any Christmas events scheduled. But just wanted to advise this staff availability during that time may or may not be, may be limited.
And I think that's the one thing we really got to, like volunteers, that the recruitment time and stuff is, I know we kind of with Canada Day and that kind of thing. And if we don't have that staff, like availability, I know we relied a lot on staff for Canada Day, which was amazing, a lot supported. So I think we would need the staff to help support us. I love the idea. I just wonder if we kind of almost move forward thinking 2026 kind of thing. And then it'll give us more time and then we can advise and hopefully maybe coordinate more with staff. And as we come up and develop a plan, hopefully maybe late fall, we develop our plan for 2026 and maybe lay out some dates of things like this is the date in August we want to do the movie night. This is when we're thinking music in the parks. This is another event we want to have. So maybe would you be able to get us information on anything that's pre-set out for 2026 so that we can kind of maybe decide on some firm dates so that we can really plan ahead?
For sure, I can take a look at an events calendar and provide some key dates for next year of any projected events.
So the motion then will be that the Community Development and Event Committee recommend to council that that events will be held in we're considering a movie night event to be held in late August 2026. Yes. Can I get a mover, please? Shen, can I get a seconder? Seer, any questions? All those in favor? Carried. We'll move to regular business item 6.3, Rural Ontario Development Program. The Deputy Clerk will give us an update on this.
Okay, so should the committee wish to recommend to council that staff submit an application for a project under the Rural Ontario Development Program grant, staff will prepare a report to council examining the feasibility of the application. And if the proposed project is approved by council, the application would not be able to make the September 24, 2025 intake deadline, but could be submitted during the second intake deadline of February 26, 2026 at 5 p.m. There are also subsequent intake periods in October 2026 and February 2027, should the committee wish. It does not appear we'll be able to make this intake deadline as a report deadline is this Friday. for the September 10th, 2025 council meeting. And it doesn't provide staff with adequate time to examine the feasibility of a proposed project should it be put forward at this point.
I know this was briefly discussed at our last meeting. I know we had talked about spending some additional time looking at options that we might want to consider. I know there was talk about beautification, youth initiatives. What are your thoughts about submitting an application or having staff submit an application? Is there something of interest that you think would be beneficial from a community development aspect of it? Jen, go ahead.
In terms of a community development perspective, I think that likely the way that we could lean into that is through stuff related to culture and heritage. So if there's any kinds of organizations or programs that we can think of within our local community that promote, culture or heritage from this area and allow us to really, foster like a sense of community, that could be one thing that we could propose. Overall, I think that the Rural Ontario Development Program is a great opportunity to explore. And even if it doesn't have a use case for our specific interests, I'm sure that there's other things that it could fit into as well. Last time we mentioned the youth initiatives or ideas of kind of like programs that allow youth to gain some experience through it, related to planning out events and managing the marketing, social media side of things, or even learning about that. Those are some of those things that could help out, as well as the beautification. So yeah, those things seem to be most applicable to our specific niche.
I kind of like the idea, I think Councillor Cox had mentioned it, some type of a mural or something. And then Shen, how you mentioned about the culture and heritage, like something that kind of showcases our heritage here in Adjala-Tos. I know last year we celebrated 30 years since amalgamation and whatnot. So it would be neat to be able to showcase something even along our walking trail here at the Adj-Tos building, which is a central spot, that there would be some type of mural or display that would bring in that cultural heritage piece. I think would be really rich. And again, that walking track seems to be used so much, like it's almost like a great, like almost a central spot in our community in terms of, because I think I just worry if we go specific into certain hamlets, then it will be which hamlet would we choose kind of thing. But I really like the idea of the heritage, the culture, and then how can we bring that to showcase like an artwork or something along that could be displayed for people to enjoy as they're enjoying the outdoors. And I think the walking track is something that's unique to Adj-Tos, like in terms of other municipalities around us, if there's some way that we could showcase and highlight and enhance what we already have. Do we want to pursue, what are your thoughts in terms of pursuing a project? And because I guess we need to make a decision so that staff can kind of prepare a report to look at the feasibility of this application, to that hopefully then could move into that second intake period, which is in February of 2026. Chen, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that I'd like to put forward a motion to have staff take a look at the feasibility of some kind of mural, as we mentioned, that ties into culture and heritage on that walking track that we can use these Rural Ontario Development Program funds towards. So the feasibility of that by the February deadline would be great. And then, yeah, being able to have a couple of meetings regarding it, and even getting like a maybe even some kind of a survey as well from like engaging with people from our community and asking them like what they would like to see out of that mural, or what kind of cultural or heritage representation they would like from that. That could be cool as well.
I really like the idea of involving the community and getting their thoughts, as I think we have a lot of great historians and people that have been in the community for a really long time, which could bring different perspectives, highlighting all the different cultures and heritage of Adjala-Tosorontio. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just one question. Would we have data? Would the city have data on the cultural backgrounds of individuals that we, the population in general here?
Sorry, what specifically, like on?
More specifically, what's the heritage, like the culture, exactly for what we're looking for, but like the backgrounds of the communities. Do we have like a certain amount of Polish, German, Italian, Indian, and
So that
in that
information
context?
may be based off of census data that's taken, and I think that would probably hold the most accurate or up-to-date information just based on the previous census results.
Right, and I'm not sure if that's going to be updated to what it is today, probably. So I think the survey will definitely be the, or another means of a source where the population can actually, dictate or to either give or provide that information to us of what would they like to see based on their own cultural background. I'm just suggesting here, I don't know.
So certainly, right now, the committee can pose the idea of a mural project, and then if and when the grant is approved, subsequently a survey or something could be put out in terms of input from the community on what type of artwork they would like to see in the community. But as of right now, the idea could be proposed, and staff can and the feasibility of that can be brought to council for consideration. And then if the grant is approved, then we can proceed with next steps.
Yep, makes sense. Thank you.
Then I propose that the Community Development and Event Committee recommend to council that staff submit an application for a mural to showcase the cultural and heritage of our township of Adjala-Tosorontio to be showcased along our walking trail. This project would be under the Rural Ontario Development Program Grant Community Development. Can I get a mover, please? Sierra, can I get a seconder? Shen, any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Next, any new items of business? Seeing none, I now declare this meeting adjourned at 6:29 p.m.